Hey everybody, this is Rich from the Metal Cell podcast. I'm delighted to welcome Peter from Godless Suns to the show. How are you, man?
How are you, Richie? You good?
Great, man. So this is officially your second time on the show. My co-host Danielle did a wonderful job of tracking you down and getting an interview for Bloodstock. Was that 2021? Yeah?
Yes, that was 2021 when we were playing the Jaeger stage and she spoke to Sarah.
Yeah, I did. I was chatting to you for a bit, but I did the interview with Sarah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And did you get a chance to see him, Danielle?
I caught the end of them just after Elder Druid. Yeah.
I mean, two great combinations there, Elder Druid and Godless Suns. Wow.
To be honest, I'd probably have quit playing and gone to watch them anyway. So, we wanted to get off and watch Skindred, who were directly after us. So it was like, oh, great, Sarah, you got nothing heavy to carry. So you go and talk to Danielle and we'll go and watch Skindred. See you later.
Yeah, she got the short straw, so having to chat to me.
No, I'll take your base. It's fine.
Yeah. Especially at that time of the evening, it probably wasn't the best time to be chatting to me, you know. A lot of drinks.
Oh, were you? Yeah. What time was that?
It was probably about 9 o'clock.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was getting there. Yeah, it was a cracking day, though.
It was brilliant day. Brilliant day, yeah. It wasn't your first time at all, though, playing. Well, it was probably Godless Suns' first time, but it wasn't your first time playing.
It was the second time this band's played there. Yeah, we played as under the previous name, which was the placeholder name, Season of the Witch. We played the VIP bar a couple of years prior, well, before the world stopped. And then with Zocalo, we played, Sarah, myself, and a few other fellas, we played 5 times or 6 times, something like that. I think one of the most booked bands ever.
That's class.
I don't know how.
Take that, Judas Priest.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you super famous people that get paid to play. Wait a minute, I'm not winning that argument, am I?
Yeah. So you know Simon Hall very well?
Intimately, you could say, I suppose. Depends on how much we've drunk. He's a good man.
How long, Pete, were you going to Bloodstock, and then when you eventually met Simon, and maybe just talk about that?
Yeah, shame to say that I'd never heard of Bloodstock until we entered the first Metal to the Masses Battle of the Bands thing in 2007.
Wow.
I think it was. And we lost. So we tried in 2008 and we lost again for in the first round, which is really disheartening. And then we had a complete lineup change, wrote a whole new album, and won in 2010, which was the first time we'd attended.
Okay.
So this year would have been the 11th straight, because obviously, 2020 was a non-event for everybody. But yeah, so I've known Simon about a decade. Yeah, top chap. This is a really nice guy. He's so busy, and bless him for struggling with his back problems at the moment. I feel for him quite a lot with that.
We'll say back in 2006, wasn't it a nice feeling to see how successful it's got over the last few years and how it's grown?
Yeah, I mean, crumbs. The first when we first went there in 2010, the new Blood tent was basically a glorified wedding marquee.
Okay.
Wow.
It was about maybe 500-600 people. It was maybe 15 foot up in the air. It was really now it's the old Sophie Lancaster tent. It's huge. Amazing. It's so up to its game. The Jägermeister, when we first played the Jägermeister stage, it was like a little shed attached to the back of the Jägermeister truck.
Wow.
In the middle. And now it's like its own stage with its own PA, and people clamor around, and it's bloody brilliant. Yeah, it's the way it's grown is great. I'd like it to stop where it is.
Yeah.
I think the size of it, and the amount of delays, the queuing times, and the amount of space and stuff like that. I like that sort of small festival. Very, I don't want to say family because it sounds corny, but you feel safe and accepted.
Absolutely.
I know some people have had some trouble, and that's an absolute shame, but there's always some dickheads that are going to ruin it for some people. So there is that. But I think if it gets any bigger, it's going to suffer from the download effect where, it's like 130,000 people. It's an hour and a half walk to the main site. You never get to see anything. It's always fucking shit. So I've been at download since 2009 to give you any idea of how much I don't like that festival anymore.
Yeah, I don't think their intention, though, is to become download. They very much said they want it to be the smaller festival. They don't want to get that big. They've intentionally not booked big acts because they don't want to draw that much of a crowd. And I think they've found their niche, I hope.
Yeah, I think they've hit their stride, and it should stay where it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love watching it, especially this time of year when you're getting the Metal of the Masses is restarting all over Europe, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I will be involved in again this year.
That's good to hear, man.
I was the chief judge for Stuart Jessup, who was running the Metal to the Masses in Kent, which is my local county.
Okay.
And I saw every single band, every single right up to the finals, and I love the fact that I made Simon's job really hard. I went, right, there's 6 bands, choose one of them, I fucking dare you. Because I'm sitting there going, I don't want to have to choose, sorry.
Yeah, of course, there's that side of it as well. Like, if the competition is that good, you know.
I would honestly, hand on heart, say Zocalo or Godless Suns, that I think we'd have struggled to get past the semi-finals. I mean, we got a good local following, but once it's taken out of the fans' hands, it's one of those where it's like, right, the quality of the band now really has to shine through. And it's like, there was some good stuff. Yeah. Bands like Silent and Fire Sky and Primer and just mind-blowing stuff. You watch Silent, and Silent are a band that you just go, right, I'm going to burn all my guitars because I obviously don't know how to play these. And any drummer that watches them will basically go, nope. Yeah. That boy is legendarily good.
And give us a background to them, since you're giving them a big plug.
Silent, oddly, they're chums of mine, so I was super hard on them throughout the entirety of the judging. I was like, you guys know exactly what I'm looking for, and if you don't give it to me, you're out on your ass. And I'm true to my word. I will not. I don't do that. I hate it. I hate it when there's a lot of that in a lot of band competitions where there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Where you favour friends and family.
Nepotism, is it?
Nepotism, that's it. I absolutely cannot stand that. I want to put the best bands forward to represent the county. And if I don't think that you're there, and my fellow judges and the crowd don't think that you're there, then you're out. There were some amazing bands went out. Like, really, genuinely, like, Christ, I can't believe they didn't win. Okay. Shows what I know about music. Silent are like Mastodon back in the Leviathan kind of days.
Okay.
But like a cleaner, newer sound. You know what I mean? Not overproduced. They've still got that loose sort of like thing to it. But yeah, I think they're on Bandcamp. I think their album's like £4 or I don't know what that is in euros, because my country decided we never wanted that, and we didn't want to have anything to do with Europe, and that's working out really well. But let's not get political.
No. And how would you spell their name?
Silent, S-I-L-E-N.
Ah, okay.
As in silent without the T. Apparently, it's got something to do with like some ghost thing that lives in the woods. I don't know. He's into all sorts of weird stuff.
Right, we can certainly have a...
Yeah, they're a 3-piece, and they don't sound like a 3-piece. The winner's Fire Sky, who, if you like your stuff a little bit more sort of goth rock, like a big show band. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of that I think's missing these days. It's normally like 4 or 5 dudes standing perfectly still playing super technical death metal, and you're just like, oh good, this again, hooray. Ugh. Yeah. Where you get a guy who turns up with like a frilly ruff and a pirate shirt and plays these wonderful big epic choruses and like big heavy guitars. You're like, that's something I want to pay to watch. That's much more like it.
Yeah. I suppose did you find that when you were judging that there was a lot of like a trend of metal that was in, that there was a lot of that kind of band playing? Or was there a lot of variation?
Actually, in Kent, no, it was really, really diverse. We had everything from a 2-man grindcore act all the way up to like full-on death metal. We had like a party rock metal kind of band. Do you remember a band called Dog Eat Dog from back in the early 2000s? They had like one hit. They were this super infectious, sort of bouncy up and down, sort of still like metal-ish, but sort of rap rock, but not mega cheesy.
Faith No More kind of job, is it?
Oh God, if Faith No More were in the bloody competition, it'd just be like, well, they're winning, so that's fine. We'll go and watch them at Bloodstock. It'll be great. That's one of Sarah's favourite bands, Mike Patton. Oh, that man can sing.
What a man.
Yeah.
Oh. But no, it was really, really very diverse. We had lots of bands who were, a couple of bands were like, it was their first show, which I thought was very brave. Throw yourself in the ring with like really seasoned veterans who are like wanting to go and play an international festival. And it's like, this is your first show? I mean, okay. You do you.
Whereas Stag's first show was Metal Masses in Dublin. Richie.
Was it really?
Sure. And they're like I'm fairly confident, and they're one of the big bands here, like in kind of one of the main sludgy bands that we've got going. So I suppose it is definitely a brave move. first band.
I think younger bands don't seem to have the fear factor.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They're not quite jaded enough to understand how much of a kicking they're going to get.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely right. No, I love that. There was a lot of young bands. Again, I pick out another young lot, Primer. They're all like early 20s. I'm an old curmudge, so, you know, anything under 30 is probably quite young. But they're all in like their early 20s, and they've got that fire and that innocence and that passion and all the energy on stage, and it's like, it's wonderfully misdirected, and I love that on-stage chaos, and they were brilliantly good fun.
Sounds a bit like God Alone there, doesn't it?
I was going to say, yeah.
And it should never be discouraged. I think I was watching one of your older podcasts. I forget which one it was, but you were talking about like the scene, and it seems to be like stale and that. And I can't disagree more, especially where I am at the moment. There seems to be a real thirst, not just in the musicians, who we've obviously had like 3 years of twiddling our thumbs and wondering if we're ever going to do anything again. What with the Rona and all that nonsense. A lot of bands fell by the wayside, which has opened up a lot of other people going, well, you know, now we can do it. And it's especially, it's not so much in London, because London's one of those, it's not a real town. It's this weird place where everything's always happening regardless of what's going on in the rest of the world. So it doesn't really count. But out here in Kent, which is a bit more rural, there's like 3 venues, and they're literally front to back every night.
Wow.
And that's what you want.
It is exactly what you want. What are those 3 venues, Pete?
Well, it's every time I go. Christ, now you put me on the spot. There's a tiny little place called Poco Loco, which is also doubled up as a Mexican restaurant during the day.
Love that.
It's good 60 or 70 people.
I'm
There's
sure
the legendary Leo's
there.
Red Lion in Gravesend. Actually, we were supposed to play there on Saturday.
I knew the name, and you couldn't do it.
Yes, I'm currently just not dying now from a chest infection, which is hence all the coughing and drinking of water. Leo's Red Lion in Gravesend, which is where the Metal to the Masses is. Any band in South London and Kent has played there. Everyone. I think even Slug have played there.
Ah, nice. What's the capacity of that, Pete?
And come to play. About 250, 300.
Nice.
Oh, it's a good size. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's not bad. When it's packed, it's ridiculous in there. And I said 3, didn't I? The other one that I'm really enjoying at the moment is a place called Helgies, which is like more into London. Again, it's another really tiny little clicky den of a place, but it's a proper spit and sawdust pub. You know, where like sweat drips off the ceiling because it's only like 6 inches above your head, and the PA is like right next to your face, and you're deaf the entire time. But it's fucking great because the crowd are directly in your face.
There's no hiding.
I love all that stuff, man.
Yeah, I think that's great.
No, if you suck, the crowd instantly let you know because there's only 50 of them, and booze carry really well in a small space.
Sounds like our beloved Freds.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Pete. I think like the scene here in Ireland is actually great at the moment. I think there's something for everyone here.
There's been a change, hasn't there, Daniel, in the last few months, I think?
Yeah, there's definitely like even from doing like the Sunday worship, there's such like sometimes I'm like, Jesus, there's no correlation to this week's Sunday worship. It's just like basically, Pete, I do like a playlist of 5 Irish bands every week for Richie, and sometimes I'm like, Jesus Christ, like you might have some post metal or post rock, and then it'll go into like this extreme death metal or something. It's just like people will be like, what's going on here? But it's great to see that diversity at the moment on the scene. Like, you know, there's something there for everyone. Yeah. And there's a nice way for everybody to get into the scene as well. You know, there's something there for them, like.
Yeah, I wish it was there when I was young. I grew up in a tiny little town on the east coast of Essex, like population 8, you know, that kind of sort of thing. And there was nothing. So for the first sort of 8 or 9 years of like my playing, it was the same 5 bands at the same 2
You're
venues
from Colchester.
in Colchester. And that was it.
Oh, my brother-in-law is out there.
Yeah, I was born there, yeah.
Really?
It's all right. It's another medium-sized English town.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's all right. It's not a bad little place, to be fair. Yeah, it's a tiny planet, right?
It's small. Clacton-on-Sea and all that's near there, isn't it? Yeah.
That's where Sarah's
There
from.
we go. Small world, huh?
It is. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's a tiny little island.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the first band that I was in, there's a fella from Ireland called Declan from. Oh, I wrote them down. What are they called? Zealot Cult.
Yeah, Decky.
Yeah.
Decky Z. Yeah, he was the drummer for a band that I played for after he quit, called Feral. Who were from Frinton on Sea. He was the drummer in the thrash band, and when they all quit, I jumped in as the bass player because I was roadieing for him. This was my first introduction to the heavy metal scene in England, essentially.
Jesus,
that's really
Decky
cool.
has an amazing story to tell, and it will be on this podcast at some stage because we've often sat down in probably. It's always Dolan's, but I'm not sure. Sometimes it could be The Siege, sometimes it could be them that could be playing or something. But Decky's such a great guy to sit down with and have a chat, and he's got an amazing story, and that will come out someday. Danielle, do you know half of what he kind of would class as a career in metal?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's
I
great.
look forward to that one.
So Pete has given a good insight there. He was with a band called Feral.
Okay.
Yeah, an old thrash band called Feral. I tell you what, for 1996 to 2001, they were probably one of the best bands in Essex by a long shot.
Wow.
Like proper, like Lamb of God, like that sort of old East Coast hardcore, met Sepultura, met Pantera kind of vibe. And it was just four guys literally punishing the crowd.
Class.
It was epic. It was absolutely brilliant. And then when I joined, it was like with a new singer and drummer, and we just sort of like continued that. And it did pretty well, but there were band reasons and it all fell through. But yeah, that's when I lost touch with Declan. And then I saw him again in Bloodstock in 2018. He was camping in Artist, and I was just like, fuck me, I haven't seen you in like a decade, man. He's like, Pete, and it was hugs and like, how you doing, man? So yeah, it was fucking, like you say, it's a tiny, tiny world, and the music industry is really small.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you don't want to piss anybody off because everyone will know who you are. Surprised what anybody talks to me
Words travel, don't they? They certainly do.
Yeah, man.
And like, I suppose, first of all, we better talk about your new album, because like we're kind of dancing around it.
Why not?
But I want to get this in. It's important, you know.
Yeah, well, oh God, I hope so. It took forever to do. It's
the
album that never happened. It's like when go on. No, sorry.
No, so to explain, basically, Pete, you sent us a live recording of it. Would that be correct? Just for us to hear it anyway.
Yes and no.
Okay.
We record everything live.
Right.
The same way that one of our favourite bands does, Clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Clutch do everything, apart from this last album, Slaughter Beach, they've done every album's been like live. So they're all in the room together, playing at the same time. And then you drop in dubs and solos and harmonies, and like the recording process does. We started recording this in 2018.
Oh my God.
Just the demoing of it.
Yeah.
Which is when Sean last saw us, when they played with us the Big Red in Holloway, which was an amazing show. God, they were good that night. And then we rewrote 3 songs because, you know, bands. And then we accidentally wrote a prog album by doing that. So we had to spend another year refining that idea so that it actually worked. And then we wrote when you listen to the song later on, there's like adjoining parts with like multiple vocal bits that join the songs together.
Okay.
And it accidentally turned into like the English version of a budget Dope Throne kind of thing. So it's like, it's supposed to be one 41-minute song, but we have to break it into 6 parts because people don't listen to 41-minute songs anymore. So we started recording proper in 2019, and we nailed the drums and we nailed the bass. And I was, as a guitar player, I was sitting there going, I don't like the guitars. Oh, I want to redo the guitars. So I thought, well, instead of redoing them, we'll just reamp, which is where you've got like a clean DI, you play it into an amp and you re-record it without having to play it. Unfortunately, where we'd record it had such crappy electrics running out of the sockets in the wall that you could hear this for every single song. And it was just like, so that's why the guitars sounded like shit then.
Okay.
So I had to re-record.
Jesus.
All the guitar parts, all the harmonies, all the solos on my own. Our drummer Dan works in a school, and he's got like a really beautiful music suite there. Nice. So we commandeered it for a weekend, and I bashed out all 6 songs, which I think is, much to Daniel's chagrin, I think it was, so that's 4, 8, so there's 8 tracks of rhythm, three tracks of harmonies and a solo track for every song, essentially.
Wow. Christ.
And then the world shut down.
Oh, this is still before COVID. Oh,
and it's still before COVID. And then the world shut down. Then we got the vocals done. Then we did the harmonies. Then we had the guest vocalists come in. And then we did all the spoken word bits, literally where I am now in my front room about 3 months ago. And we've just... So what you've got is like a 95% finished version, because Dan's gone, no, wait, there's some boomy bits I want to get rid of. And I was like, just lucky, because I was just about to send this to the printers. So I'm glad you stopped me. So yeah, this is like 95% finished. There's like final compression and a little bit of mastering, tweaking and things like that are still being done. He promises by Friday.
Okay.
So maybe in a couple of weeks. But we're releasing it on the 25th, so he's got a deadline to meet.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna...
almost never... We were being teased for months, like, when's the album coming out, Pete? When's the bloody album coming out? Like, don't know. Stop harassing me.
So I'm going to give people a snapshot of it, and this is Godless Suns. Okay? So here we go. Like, it certainly passed my car stereo test anyway. I was nodding away to it back and forth to work. Danielle, what did you enjoy it? Of course you did.
Yeah, of course. Sure, it's up my street.
Yeah.
Riffs. Sarah's got a cracking voice.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, it's great. It's a real great driving album, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a big compliment from me to say it's a good driving album.
I'll take
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, and looking forward to hearing that live now, and hopefully over this side of the pond will be really cool. would be really, really good.
Oh yes.
So
when we finally make it after 3 years of discussing it, of coming up to Galway to play a show,
that would be cool. That would be class.
So that's we can announce that, can't we, Pete?
Yes. I think I know one of the bands that's playing.
We have permission. Sean,
we have permission.
Thumbs up.
Deadly.
You guys want to do it for me, or shall I?
No, do a big drum roll.
Do my own shameless promotion.
Do your own shameless promotion.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be coming to play Sally's in Galway on Friday the 9th of December. And one of the bands I know are playing are a band you guys had on in May, which are Brigantia.
Ooh, fucking deadly. I didn't know Brigantia were playing.
And I bought their album today because those guys have got bags of riffs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's some sexy shit.
Bags of riffs and bags of cans.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not afraid of having a drink, but it's one of those things when you're a fly-in band, we're going to arrive like Friday lunchtime, like chill out with Sean and the guys from the Slug for most of the day, get to the venue, set up, biddly, play, get absolutely shit-faced, crash on Sean's couch, and then we're basically back off to London the day after, whereas I'd love to stay for weeks, but
I thought there might I thought that was my question. I thought there might have been another gig in there between Limerick or Dublin, but look, you're getting over to us anyway before December.
Well, the idea behind this is several reasons. One, to check. We want to play there. We were hoping it would be with Slug, but they're playing in Limerick like the night before or the week before, I think.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
So there is that's what it is. But we really want to come and play because I don't know. I think Slug have got something planned for next year, and we kind of want to go with them around your beautiful island.
Yeah.
And hopefully end up somewhere maybe massive amounts. So fingers crossed, and a little bit of pushing from certain people, maybe getting to Siege, which might be fun. And then when they're done with that, we'll have them to come over and play with us and a band, one of my favourite bands from Britain called Famine, who, if you've not checked out, I thoroughly suggest you do. Famyne. Just one of the best sort of traditional doom sung voices I've heard in decades.
Ooh,
and Tom Vane's voice
praise.
is absolutely outstanding, like literally an outstanding voice. Great band, really lovely guys, but they have to have 5 of them to make as much noise as we do with 3. So they're not that great. But yeah, we've been meaning to come out and play with Sean and the guys from Slug for Donkey's Age, but obviously scheduling and like holiday allowances, and obviously again the dreaded Corona, which we've got to stop mentioning because it's been quite a few times now. But life gets in the way. I mean, Dan works in a school, our drummer, so he can only have time off outside term time.
Right. Well,
like when
Jesus,
the summer holiday
he's got
breaks
3 months off anyway, like fucking teachers.
Nobody wants to tour in the summer, man. Everyone said you tour in the winter so you can make your money, then you spend it in the summer going to what good bands tour, surely.
Did you actually say make money?
Oddly, this time round, actually, I have to say, without not tooting my horn too much, but Godless have been paid for all but 3 gigs that we've played, which is unusual because Zocalo, I think we got paid for 3 gigs. So either I'm older and wiser, or people are like more terrified of me now. I don't know. It's probably not that at all.
And dragging you back.
Although when you're 6'5" and 20 stone.
Dragging you back to the album, Pete. Dragging you back to the album. Because that's why you're here as well.
Yes, please.
The theme of the album, is it science fiction, theology, or what are you exploring in it?
Right, without wanting to upset anybody, we decided that we would deconstruct a fairly popular theological ideal and just do it as though... So obviously it takes from the Judeo-Christian faith, and it starts with the first song being One Spark of Lilith is the
Great
fact
song.
that a lot of people forget that Eve wasn't the first woman. She was the first woman made of man. Lilith was the first woman given free will, the same as Adam, and she basically said, God went, right, no, you're married to him. And she went, my bollocks, and she went off with the devil instead, which is why she's the queen of hell.
Legend.
I'm kind of paraphrasing this a lot.
Yes.
And then the Death of the Wise is about the Tower of Babel, where humankind built the tower to touch the face of God, to say thank you for all of our great gifts, this beautiful planet, the abundance and wonder. And God went, how dare you, and shattered the tower, casting us to the four winds, changing our skin colours and our languages, so we could never be that powerful again.
Okay. Keep going.
And then Fury is about man genuinely being like, what the fuck? Hey, we were trying to be nice, dickhead. And then Purgation, which is the...
It's a great track.
It's my favourite. It's not easy to play, but I love playing it. There's no vocals, and it's just about man dragging his sorry carcass. I'm going to use the term man, I mean man, humankind.
Humankind, okay.
It's humankind dragging its sorry ass out of the hell of its own making. And then there's Bones, which is about building your life back up from the bare bones of your life. And then Godless Suns, which is arriving at the conclusion that you don't really need gods to feel powerful. It's inside you anyway. And we're going to continue the theme with the next album as if we were like Interstellar. So we are going, there is theology and science fiction. So we're looking for other godless suns. So we're looking for other suns that don't have gods. And we're going to do from utopia to dystopia in the next album.
Wow.
So we arrive at this beautiful planet, lots of lovely people, la 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 la, everyone's happy. And as you dig and peel away the layers, it's, oh no, it's like living in Tory Britain. Sorry. No politics. Sorry, Richie.
And did you design the artwork behind? Can we give you credit for that, or where did you get it?
You can give me credit for typing in the word Godless Suns, dark, into an AI art generator.
It looks like a really cool AI. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's... And you can fiddle with certain parameters and like have things upscaled and put into 4K and stuff. But we actually have, when there's venues that allow it, we have a projection that will go on behind us. And each of the songs has its own AI-generated art, which we've had animated ever so slightly. So the more you look at it, the more pieces of it you notice move. And,
Jesus, a lot of people thinking they're tripping, but they're...
I am so out of fucking this thing. AI-generated art. Explain, please.
Oh, I can't remember what the bloody program we use now was called.
There's a few of them, all right, isn't there?
Midway. It's you use it through a Discord. You can use it for free through a Discord server.
Okay.
Midjourney it's called.
Right. So you just type in...
use a prompt, and you can type in either a random string of words separated by commas, or a sentence, or a descriptive thing, including like artists that you like. Do you want it to be hyper realistic, 4K digital art? Would you like it to be sort of like Renaissance mixed with Salvador Dali, or something like that? And then it buggers off for about a minute and a half, and it produces 4 individual artworks. And you pick which one you want to...
How did I miss out on all this?
It's so much fun, but if you want to keep doing it as much as we had to do it to get the 6 images that we wanted, there's like a subscription fee per month. But and it's weird because there's all sorts of like, what's the word? Oh God, my brain is an absolute sludge fit. Copyright, like who owns it? Like the AI can't generate it without my input, so it becomes a tool. Yeah. But I didn't do any of the actual artwork. The AI created it, and is the creative property of the AI. But AI can't own property, and my brain stopped and just went like, okay, I don't know, that's copyright law. So I'm going to use it until someone says I can't.
Have you seen there's a video on YouTube, and it's AI generated art to all the lyrics of War Pigs?
Yes.
It's fucking awesome.
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it's really good. I'd recommend it, Richie.
I'm writing it down. My God.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a brave new world, man. I mean, the thing is, I feel bad because throughout my entire life, I've always supported like local artists, people that I know, like tattooists and general art guys, bands that I know. And it's like, but if I was to commission 6 works of art of this standard from any of my friends, I'd be looking at thousands.
And you genuinely would want to pay them if you had the money anyway, first of all.
This is it. But in 5 minutes, I came up with that, and I was like, I don't think I know anyone who could really hit on what I was after any better than this AI did. And that's amazing and terrifying in the same hand.
Wow. My God, man. That's
how long before I have an AI as a boss?
So, like, Pete, another thing that struck
going around now. So
another thing that struck me as well. Did you find the need to like on your Facebook page, it says here, Godless Suns is a heavy metal band from the UK who deal with themes around the deconstruction of theology, religious rhetoric, and reliances on the self. We support anyone's right to practice their beliefs and do not wish to cause any harm or upset to anybody who holds such beliefs whilst interacting with this page, and wish to make clear we are agnostic and not interested in conversion. To put a statement like that up on a band's page, is that kind of half taking the piss, or is there seriously people
not
out
in the
there
slightest
will have a go at you?
Oh yeah. Oh
My
yeah.
God. Wow.
About 2 or 3 months ago, like obviously when we started to gain a little traction, and one of the most searched terms on the internet is God and godlessness. So we tend to pop up quite a lot in searches that we're gonna, when they find out that we're a British heavy metal band that deals with the dissolution and, you know, taking apart your like very deeply held belief systems, that will piss people off.
Right.
It will do. I mean, there's wars been fought over shit like this before, but I noticed very recently that there was a lot of people from the Middle East sort of just liking the page, most likely without, like most people like pages and they don't tend to read into what the page actually does. Well, an interesting story about that in a minute. And I just want to put that's the pinned post, because if the first thing you read on my page is that, and then you get pissed off with me, I'm going to tell you to fuck off, essentially. Like, look, you've come here and you've decided to get all rattled by it. And then, you know, it's like standing in the rain and complaining that you're wet. It's like, well, don't stand in the fucking rain, you dickhead. You know, I don't have sympathy for people who can't look after themselves without like being nannied, but I also don't want to cause upset. Because there are people who like heavy metal who have very deeply held beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's fine, man. Yeah. Like I say there, I don't give a monkey's what you believe. Just don't expect me to have any truck with me at all. I will defend to my dying breath anyone's right to practice and be whatever they want to be in this planet, as long as it causes no harm to others.
Yeah, well said.
I'll absolutely die on that fucking hill. I actually do not give a stuff. But if you expect me to go, no, you're absolutely right, you've got another thing coming, because I will argue my point till I'm dead.
Yeah.
And mine's very different from that. So no, it's not intended to rattle anyone's cage. It's not intended as a pun. It's literally, we don't want to cause any offense. This is just how we're viewing the world. This is a musical representation of how we're telling a story that is one of the most told stories on the planet.
Yeah, that's amazing, though, that you get challenged over it.
Oh yeah, I've had a couple of people go, "Oh, you fucking going to burn in hell." It's like, well, I mean, sure, but I mean, I'm not frightened of that. You are, because for me to be frightened of, you know, the only people that believe in the devil are people that believe in a god. I don't believe in a god, so I can't believe in a devil. So how am I going to be terrified of him? And if he is real, then I'm screwed, and whatever, or I'll figure that out on my day of reckoning. And if I'm right, then my essence goes back into the universe and I come back as a dung beetle or, you know, a fish. Who knows?
Yes.
I don't point.
Yeah, and it is what it is. I was brought up in a Protestant household and christened and went to Sunday school and things like this, and I've done the theological learning and I've done religious studies at university alongside English and things like that, and it's just, so I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about, but I don't have faith.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm down with people having faith, but religion's controlled by man, written in books, as a form of control, because you use that control to keep actual knowledge from people. That really gets my fucking tits. So, so you've done it to me now, Richie. You've done politics and religion. All we've got to shit face and have a fight, and I've completely ruined coming to Ireland. I'm going to get off the plane and give me 9 geezers with baseball bats. Fucking there he is.
There's going to be a protest.
Yeah, Father Day protest. Down with that sort of
thing. Yeah.
Down with that sort of thing. No, so, it's a genuine thing. So
yeah. Look, do you know what? It was a thing in Ireland for so many years, the control of the church and everything like that. Thankfully, it's all moved away from that. The younger gang are thinking for themselves, thankfully, and exploring loads of different things. But I mean, to be called out on it for being a band is just fucking laughable at this stage. But sure enough, there is people out there that will do that, you know. Stress of that.
You're back, Richie.
Fucking hell.
You're not having the best time of it, are you?
Yeah. first time ever this happened.
Is it that bad in Cork, the weather then?
The weather is like terrible. Like, yeah.
So the last time I was talking to you, we were on about Father Ted protesting down with that.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on, not again.
Did you make a big speech about it, Danielle? Did I miss your speech?
Oh, you're back. No.
No, he's not.
Fuck.
We're just talking about the fact that you've crapped out again.
Yeah.
Though you're here for the minute, so keep going. Well, the going's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
No, we're basically. Oh no, Richie's gone, and we just sort of talked about how crap the weather was in Cork, and then you pop back in again. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, down with that sort of thing. I've been promising myself I will not do a crap Celtic accent, and you really nearly got me to do it then.
We've been trying to coax it out of you.
No.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were playing with Zocalo and went to Birmingham, and I said, for the love of Christ, don't do any crap Brummie accents. So the guys were like, yeah, okay, we won't. And we got up there, and the first thing all the guys from Birmingham did was shit London accents. And we were fine, all the guys are off then. So, yeah. Sorry.
You were saying, Pete, as well, when you were growing up, just maybe talk about the area you grew up in and how you got into music. What were your influences, or where did you get your influences from, musically wise?
One day there was a little boy called Peter, and he grew up on the east coast of England. I grew up in a tiny little farm town called Walton on Naze, on the North Sea of Essex. It's a town of about maybe 3,500 people, the average age being about 60.
Right.
It's a retirement town. But my old man was a bass player in the 60s. So he bought, I grew up with an incredibly diverse sort of music. So like Tina Turner, Diana Ross, the Beatles, Stones. But there was a very small period where he listened to like AC/DC, Motorhead, and Black Sabbath. And my brain went, yes. All this, and then he went from that to disco for some reason. I have no idea why. My old man was a very faddy, like he'd listen to everything from one thing and then go, right, I'm done with that, now I'll listen to all of this. I think he went from disco to country and western to like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and Yngwie Malmsteen, and then he went from that to like prog. So I was listening to like ELO and Yes, and so yeah, I sort of stopped there.
Base of music there. That's great.
My mum, who's still with us, she was mad into classical music. So all that sort of big, epic, swelling, swirling, and like really deep cello music and stuff. I know sweet FA about classical music, so don't ask me which composer she likes, 'cause I don't know. But nobody where I lived listened to any of that stuff. They're all into, what was it back in, we're talking about like late 80s, early 90s. So it was the breaking of like gangster rap. And I had a friend who moved from America for some reason to my little town called Damien. And he had all this like Ice-T and Ice Cube and KRS-One and MC8 and all these old like gangster rappers and stuff like that. So I got into that with him.
Okay, cool.
And then that led into Body Count, which led into the Almighty, and then to Metallica, and then...
Wow, so you entered through rap?
Yeah, oddly. I mean, I still love old school gangster rap. I mean, a lot of it's a bit cringy these days, like some of the themes and the ways that they talk about women and money and drugs and stuff is like, oh God. Now I can see why this appealed to me when I was 15. But nowadays I'm like, yeah, this is a little embarrassing, guys. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I don't know why heavy metal stuck as well as it did.
Might be, as I said, your dad probably played a few heavy tracks like AC/DC, and I'd imagine if he's playing AC/DC, he would have had Led
the music
Zeppelin.
you play just sounds like noise.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, loads of Zeppelin as well. When he first came to see Farrell, he basically said, that was nice. It was like listening to dogs being thrown into lawnmowers. Oh, God. I mean, thanks, I suppose. It wasn't really that kind of music. But yeah, and he only came to see us the once. And then he passed away, sadly, 8 years ago. So he never got to see Sarah and I perform together.
Okay.
Which is a shame. But, you know, we moved away to London, and, you know, it's one of those things where old people don't like to drive. You're expected to go to them. But pretty sure if I turned up with a 5-piece heavy metal band in their front room, they'd have been really upset with me. So,
and
you're going to listen to the music regardless.
Did you always play bass and then graduated to guitar? What way was it? Guitar, then bass, or what?
it was one of those needs must of the devil drives things. Like I learned how to play acoustic guitar and I hated it. So then I started to learn electric guitar, which I liked, but again, I didn't have anyone to learn from. There was no YouTube. I couldn't Google tabs or anything like this. So I had to buy really crap books, and it was all Eric Clapton and Gary Moore songs. It's like, oh,
Jesus.
It's basically, this isn't what I want to learn. So I learned what I did, and I did the scales, and I said, and I bumped into Ferrell, which was Declan was drumming for at the time.
Yeah.
Or Decky, as you guys know him. And I was like, you know what you're like when you're like 15, 16, you're like, right, you're obviously cool. I'm just fucking hanging out with you guys now. That's the end of this discussion. So I was hanging out with them, and they were all, you know, smoking and drinking and blah, 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 and playing loud heavy metal. And it's like, well, this is what I want to do. And then that band fell to pieces, and I said, look, I can play bass, and I have a van, and I can drive. So I think I was hired on that basis rather than anything else. So I learned bass in like 6 months, and then we'd recorded an album and blah, and yeah. So that was, and then when we moved to London, I wanted to write my own music, and I wanted Sarah to do the singing.
But,
no, I think you're still there.
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah,
cool.
So I wanted Sarah to do the singing. So we wrote an album, and it was awful goth rock. The first thing we did.
Oh, really?
So it was bad. Where did we cut out for you then?
Yeah, you were on about yourself and Sarah. You made you formed a goth band.
A really, really good goth band.
Yeah, that wasn't what I said. Don't misquote me. It was a fairly awful first attempt. Like your first attempt at writing music is always what you think other people want to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive mistake, and a lot of bands make it, and I've made it a lot.
Okay.
The secret is to make music you want to listen to.
Correct.
Because there's going to be thousands of people out there who go, yeah, that's the stuff I want to listen to.
Yeah.
And that's where your fan base comes from. It's just finding the bastards. So, yes, but it took me... So, Zocal, I went through 3 different iterations until we had the last lot for 8 years. Played Bloodstock a lot, blah, blah, blah. Did an album. That was pretty good. Didn't mind that. Called Sunrise. Sort of very Corrosion meets Down kind of thing, but with Sarah's vocals on the top. So, and then we'd got to the point where I was like, right, I now know what we're supposed to sound like and where I want to put it next. And that's when everybody didn't want to be in the band anymore. Yeah. I was like,
not typical.
Well, fine. So Sarah and I went home. We got horribly drunk, and we watched Blues Brothers 2000 because it's like one of my comfort movies. And we were getting drunk, and I don't know if you've seen the film at all. There's a scene where the Blues Brothers band are driving through a swamp to Queen Musette's to enter a battle of the bands.
Oh, yeah, of course, that famous scene, yeah.
And the song is Season of the Witch by the Blues Brothers band. And I was like, that's a fucking tune, that. Season of the Witch, that's pretty good. Hey, how about we start a Stoner Doom band called Season of the Witch? And Sarah went, yeah, okay. And then after about 6 months, we're like, yeah, everything's something witch or something wizard or something bong or something cauldron. Yeah, I don't want to be called that anymore. So the last song that we wrote was called Godless Suns, and then 2 years ago we just changed the name to Godless Suns.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
And you haven't looked back since?
It's not been very long, so I don't really know.
Haven't had time to look back yet.
It's about 16 months. What has been fun, though, is that this band that's been around, like if you take away the year the world shut down, we've only been around 4 years. We've done 12 gigs, 2 of which have been Bloodstock.
Wow.
We've played with Boss. We've played with Boss Colloid,
right?
One of the biggest bands. If you've not checked out Boss Colloid, I strongly suggest. We've played with your boys, 10 Ton Slug. We've just had like endless amounts of really good luck and really good gigs, and lots of people like literally not even having to normally bands are like, oh, give us a gig, and we're like, oh, no, busy, go away.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite way around. It's like, no, I haven't got any time for. And again, because of our age now and the fact that we all got, well, they have professional proper jobs and I don't. I'd jack mine in a heartbeat to do this for a living. I'd be like, yeah, bye. See you later. You're not going to work your fortnight. And my bollocks. Ta-ta. So, unfortunately, we're limited to sort of Friday, Saturday, Sunday gigs.
Yeah.
Unless it's super local. So if it's super local, it doesn't matter because it's an hour and a half away, so that's no big deal. But if you're going to play Birmingham, Manchester, Brighton, Southampton, like Galway, Edinburgh, wherever, you've got to have enough time to get there
and home
and then play and then get back, which I think a lot of fans seem to. I don't know if they forget it. I think that's unfair, but it's never a consideration when you pay your tenner on the door to get in. You're there for that 45 minutes of the set of that band, but they've been there since midday, but they've been traveling since 8 in the morning, and they won't get home until maybe the day after, and they're probably going to get paid 50 quid if they're lucky. And it's like, you know,
yeah, people forget that, man. It's no harm saying
Absolutely.
it seems it's not wanting to seem ingracious or anything. It's it costs a lot for every band to put on any show anywhere, even a local gig. I mean, you're still 2-3 cars, 5 guys, you know. I mean, you've got 40 quid's worth of food, 50 quid's worth of petrol. You know, you're going to have a few brews when you're there, and I'm not going to tell you what London prices are for beer because it will terrify you. You're looking at over £7 a pint in central London now.
We know all about it at Damnation.
Happens quite a lot. Oh yeah, it's a bit much. So you know, you're looking at 150 to 200 quid to put on a show most times, and people want you to pay 2-3 times a week, and that's pretty much all of your expendable money as an adult.
Yeah.
Just to do your hobby to break even. So when you don't get paid for gigs, and there are some gigs you do because, you know, certain bands will phone you up and you're like, yes, we're definitely playing this. Where? Oh, yeah, no worries. Cardiff for free. Okay. You know, because I really want to play with you guys at that venue. So fabulous. And you're like, Christ, that's going to be 600 quid just to do that.
Yeah.
You know, go there, hotel, drive all the way back, Billy D. You can recoup some of it from merch, but again, merch is another outlay that, you know, you go 15 quid for a fucking t-shirt. It's like, well, it cost us £8 to make the bar thing. We've had it for nearly a year. Could you just buy it so I can eat tonight, please?
Yeah.
And you make no music. You make no money from music. You make your money from merchandising and agreed upon fees these days.
Yeah. And the album launch,
which is a terrible thing.
The album launch is coming up on the 25th of November.
Yes, at the. God, we've got a real thing about playing little venues, haven't we? At the Devonshire Arms in Camden Town.
Great spot.
The Dev, as everyone knows it. Fabulous. Tiny. And I will be being banged into by girls going for a wee all night because it's exactly where I'll be standing is the little walkway where they have to go through to get to the ladies. But it's a great venue. Yeah. It's a great venue. And Danny and I were speaking earlier. It's one of the venues that's in Desert Fest, which you want to get over for at some point. And it's a free entry venue regardless. Like there's no run entry fee, but it's a built-in audience front to back. I know half the people are going there. I know all the bar staff. So it's a real nice home venue, as it were, but in central London rather than out in the sticks. We've got 2 great bands playing with us. We've got Old Horntooth. These lads here. Sorry, my friend's in the way. They're a super sludgy band. So if you enjoy your D-tune sludgy stuff, Old Horntooth are really good lads. And we're playing with another band called Purple Kong, who are space cadets. I love those guys so much. One of the best female drummers I've ever seen in my life.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Sylvie, she's 4 foot of hardcore dynamite. That girl, she absolutely punishes her drum kit.
That's the job.
Brilliant stuff. Riffs for days. Old school rock and roll sensibilities. Like just fucking crank it up and go. I dig it. I love it. Yeah, the 25th. So that's Dan's deadline for getting stuff done.
Yes.
Otherwise, when people go, where's the album? It's like, I don't know, ask him.
And will there be physical copies?
Yes.
Yes, there will be.
Yes, we're going to do 50 physical copies and there'll be 50 T-shirts to accompany if you wish. It's all done. It'll be the artwork, kind of the artwork behind me, but not 100%.
Wow, that's great, man. That's something to look forward to. So you will be coming over to Galway, just to reiterate, again on December 9th. December the 9th.
9th of December.
Okay. Put that into the diary, 9th. Everybody.
Perfect.
Sally Longs.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Brigantia and an as yet unnamed band who Sean's promised me he'll tell me when he knows who it is. He said, I've got about 5 or 6 bands I want to ask. It's like, I mean, you know, they're locals, so it's not going to be hard for them, whereas you have to book us.
Yeah.
This is our first out of England show.
Oh, interesting.
Even as Zocalo, in the 15 years we were a Zocalo, we didn't play abroad. It's just business. See, the thing is with London is it's that weird little vortex that everyone wants to get into, but as someone who's inside it, the best thing to do is not. You know, London should, no, don't get me wrong. London should be the gig that you aspire to play two, maybe 3 times a year.
Okay.
Get a show in London if you're outside. But the best crowds for unsigned and smaller acts are always in the smaller towns and cities outside, Chelmsford, Colchester, Birmingham, places like that. Because they don't have 8,000 gigs a day at 450 different venues at £10 and above for bands you've never goddamn heard of that might be shite or not.
Yeah.
You know, so you go to your local venue that's you know, a £5 a night, and you know that the promoter's going to put on some solid bands. So, you know, and that's Sean assured me that Sally's is one of those places where you're never going to want for a crowd. It's going to be full the second it opens. And I'm like, well, that's cool, man. The amount of faith he's put in us to put on a killer show, and he wants us to headline it as well. I'm like, are you sure? Like, we're the out of town band, man. Are you sure you don't want the big draw? And it's like, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I would be sitting there playing my banjo to the fucking barmaid and a sad looking bouncer.
No, you won't be. I know Sally's, you won't be.
No. Yeah, you're gonna fucking love it, man.
I want to know nothing about it. I want to turn up and go, all right, cool, yeah, and then have my blow. I've been to Ireland a lot, in not musically speaking, but my dad used to take us to Dingle in Kerry.
Beautiful.
About 4 or 5 times when I was a younger lad. We've been to Dublin 4 or 5 times, and now that we know people who live other places, we're getting invited other places. But it's the nicest people in the most beautiful scenery I've had the privilege of being anywhere near, with the exception of standing at the foot of Mount Fuji in Japan. So
I praise indeed.
Yeah.
I don't think you would have got anybody to go on the session with you in Mount Fuji, though, as much as a passionate Irish man or woman with their booze in them and their music.
Indeed.
Music.
It's a wonderful country as Japan, but I really do stick out like a sore thumb. There aren't many 6'5" white guys with long hair covered in tattoos mentioned about Tokyo, I'm telling you. And they're so sweet. I mean, like, obviously all the young crowd are all spiky hair and tattoos and leather jackets, and the Japanese love all that. And one of the best gigs I've ever been to was actually at what they call a live house. It's not a venue in Japan, it's called a live house, and its sole purpose is for music. Fantastic PA, beautifully balanced sound for all 3 bands.
Wow.
There's a big curtain over the front of the stage. The band are there. It comes up, smoke pours out, first band plays. End of the 4th song, there's like a 2-minute bit where they stand and they talk about their passions and who they are and what they want to do. They thank everyone for turning up. 2 songs, finish. Curtain comes down. 15 minutes later, next band, same thing. This was a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock we went in. 4 till 9 was the hours on Sunday. It was full from the very first note to the very last note.
Sounds like band tapas, because you're kind of just getting a taster of each.
No, it's the same as the gigs here. It was just done with such an amazing, and I know it sounds tacky as hell, but this wonderful efficiency and respect, which are, these dreadful, like, cliche words for Japan, but it just was. What made me laugh, though, was obviously, everything's pints here, and it's the metric system over in Tokyo. And I was going, like, the bar isn't a big feature in these places. It's kind of out the back. You get your beer, you come out the front, you drink your beer, fiddly-dee. So I don't know about you, but I'm very much like, 4 pints of beer, plonk, there you go, boys, tuck into it, and you've done 3 pints before the first band are on. So I'm in that mode because I'm on holiday. And the bar staff are going, you drink a lot. And I'm like, it's a lot of me to fill up. We had this wonderful conversation in, like, broken English, and I know, like, about 9 words in Japanese, most of which are thank you and I'm sorry I'm in your way. Yeah, bloody fabulous. I was just thinking, why aren't there more places like that in Britain and, the rest of Europe, where it's this beautiful sound system with people who want to go and watch live music? And it's like, there's no scene kids, there's no people who come and watch their mate's band and then go. God, that annoys the crap out of me. If you pay 10 quid to go and watch a show, watch the entire goddamn thing. Otherwise, where are you getting your money from?
Or the smokers that just stay out smoking while the band is playing.
Yeah.
They get into great conversation and then, light up another one and stay out there. Fuck's sake.
I've been a non-smoker for 13 years now.
Yeah, I think we all were at some stage.
I can still murder a pack of Marlboro, don't get me wrong, but I just don't. I'm so straight laced nowadays. I'm almost boring. It's like I'm still cutting my drinking down to lose weight because I'm getting old. I don't smoke anymore. Drugs are too fucking expensive.
Play rock and roll, though, Pete. You still play rock and roll.
Yeah. Bed by 10:30.
Okay, listen, I'm going to leave you go, and it's been a brilliant time talking to you, hasn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, it's been great to chat to you again, Pete. And I'm looking forward to hopefully catching you in Sally's.
It'd be great to see as many people as because I probably know 3 people in Galway. So if I can make it to 5, that'd be amazing. No, thanks for having us, man. I really appreciate you putting some faith in, a little known London band who are just popping over at your beautiful country to play a show.
There you go, man.
I appreciate it.
That's why you're on. We really appreciate you coming over as well, and fair play to Sean for organising that. It's 9th of December. The album launch is the 25th of November in the Dave Godless Suns EP. I suppose, what is it? It's not an EP, man. It's like 45 minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah, 41 minutes, 6
41.
tracks.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be available on Bandcamp on the 25th, so it'll be a universal release. Yeah, and myself and Danielle have heard it, and it's a class so far anyway. So
check it out.
Wait till we get the proper mixed and mastered ones from Dan. Get your tongue out, son.
Absolutely.
We're getting worried. And give our regards to Dan and Sarah too, Pete, won't you?
Of course I will.
Yeah.
Of course I will. So
you've been listening to Pete from Godless Suns. Give him a listen or a like, and as I said, the album is coming out soon, and thanks again for coming on the show, Pete.
No worries, man. Thanks for having us.
So crucially, everybody, support your local metal scene. Thanks, Danielle, for joining us on the show, as always.
Thanks, lads.
Bye, everybody. Oh my God, stress of that.